Hello and welcome to Old Spiral Podcast. It is once again that time of year. I want to wish everybody out there happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, and Drew?
Whatever you celebrate.
The Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us, of course.
For all the Seinfeld fans out there.
Yep.
Yeah. Today, we're bringing you into the Christmas season. Actually, we're a little late for that, but this is our last episode before Christmas, and actually...
Last episode of 2020.
Last episode of 2020. And we're going to talk about Christmas in the Valley. Christmas is... It's up there. It's one of my favorite times. I've always had fun Christmases. I was lucky. I like spending time with family. I'll be doing a little less of that this year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
I'm still going to have good food. I'm still going to get presents and give presents, which everyone knows that's the whole reason for the season.
Of course.
Yeah.
It is for me.
That's right. So today we're talking about all the fun winter activities that happens here in the Valley, because wintertime, it can be a little depressing, especially now.
We've done a good job in the Valley of creating some cool traditions that are unique to us.
Yeah, there's really some spectacular people out there who go really far out of their way to make the season bright.
Yeah.
Speaking of making the season bright, I think the first thing we'll talk about is the lights at Locomotive Park.
Sweet.
Have you been there this year?
I haven't. As we talked about in the last episode, just got over COVID, unfortunately. So I've been cooped up, but I think we're planning on taking the dogs down to go check it out at some point soon.
Caitlin and I went with Elliot 2 nights ago, I think. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 nights ago. It was last Saturday. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You get the arches with the lights and all the trees.
They're all LED, so they're like super bright, which is cool.
Yeah, and it's not as expensive to run.
Right.
I've been going to Locomotive Park since I was a kid. In fact, I don't really remember a time when there wasn't lights at Locomotive Park, which makes sense because they were put in 1994, so I'd only been about 2 years old.
Right, we were little.
We were once upon a time very little, and much has changed. Fat jokes aside, I'm going to go ahead and say the lights were thought of. I think mostly the credit goes to Larry Kopczynski. He was an electrical engineer who owned John's Electric at the time, but it was not a solo effort. Larry had a lot of help from the Lewiston Chamber of Commerce when they heard of his idea, and it all started with Engine 92. That's the train that's there, right? And it was used
where the
back.
Namesake of the park comes from.
Exactly, Locomotive Park,
right? And
it was used in the logging days. So what's cool is I was reading through articles about this. Some of the older people in the valley at the time, thought that was really cool because some of them had been on the train, used the train, right, when they were logging, right. So I thought that was really neat. And then a couple of the articles they explain how it was to see the actual. They made the lights move to make it look like the wheels were moving, and puffs of smoke coming out the chimney. And one of Elliot's favorite things to do down there was pulling the string and making the bell ring.
Sure. Which is, I'm sure, something that both you and I did, too, when we were kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. It uses, that's one of the articles you have here says it uses up to 500,000 lights.
Well, that was back in the day. Now I think it's up over 1 million.
Yeah, I bet.
Because at the beginning, they only did 12 trees and the train.
Oh, okay.
So that was just the first year, and then he had so many more ideas after that. It's quoted here. This is on the winterspirit.com website. It explains the history of lights at Locomotive Park, and he explains, there's that area, the dance area where
right,
it's
By the
pressure
tree.
sensitive pads, and when you dance, the lights change on that big tree. He said he got the idea from dancing with his daughter, listening to music, and he thought, wouldn't it be cool if the lights would change as you danced? And that, I have to say, was Elliot's favorite part.
Right.
It was so
is
much
always
fun.
One of the cooler aspects of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was fun watching her dance, and it was difficult getting her off the dance floor when it was time to go. There might have been a little bit of ice cream bribery in the mix.
Well, and it's cool that this year we can still partake in that tradition that our valley has celebrated for so many years now, because it's of course outside. You can distance and still go get into Christmas and be outside and check that out.
Yeah, being outside, I mean, it's a little cold. I always remember freezing there. I've gotten smarter over the years. I now layer. I put on the long johns.
Well, back in our day, when you had to walk uphill both ways to school, it was a lot colder. It seems like today, I think it was like 40 degrees and it rained.
It did rain. There were a couple snowflakes mixed in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was rain.
For whatever reason, it's just we don't have as harsh a winters. It doesn't seem like. I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. I could be wrong.
It's way of the road.
Way of the road.
Way of the road. So it's just a stunning sight to see. It's the perfect location. That was one he had in mind. What's really interesting is they get thousands of dollars a year in donations. It costs, a couple $1,000s to turn the lights on. Like you said, they're LEDs now, so it may not be so expensive as in previous years.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that stick out in my head about this. One was the day they put all the lights up the first time, they turned them on around dusk, and they were really disappointed because it just didn't look bright and wonderful like he had in his head. And he was kind of discouraged, and he left and came back later at night when it was actually dark, and he said he was just blown away and couldn't be happier with the results.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he's got the dance pad, the train with the moving parts, and then a few trees, but now there's those archways.
Right.
The archways, and in previous years, the lights would change as you walked through them. I didn't notice that this year. But he said it's a lot of work.
Oh, I'm sure.
Setting up those whatchamacallits, the sensors.
The timer, sensor, whatever it is.
Yeah, he says it's just a ton of work to set those up so they change at the right point. So I don't know. But they get a ton of volunteer work. I mean, he said they estimated somewhere around $8,000 in volunteer hours. And then the amount of work, even that first year, digging trenches and put the electrical cables through and to run the electricity everywhere. I noticed this year after reading, I was kind of looking for stuff, and there's an area with dancing penguins, which I think have been there for ages.
Yeah, totally.
And underneath each penguin, you can see a little hole in the ground that's covered, and where they're all plugged in. And so it must have taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to plan all that. Yeah,
and especially if they were doing it, of course, in the winter when the ground is much more, hard, not as forgiving, so it's tougher to dig in whenever they first did it. But yeah, it's a cool tradition. I don't really know of any other towns that have this weird little light park like we do, and it's something that's cool that I always think about once Christmas rolls around, and it is a neat tradition. And seems like they always have little sort of side quests that you can do, like wasn't there like a maze at one point or something like that? I don't recall the maze, but I'm not going to say it wasn't there. There's like this thing that they had like a bunch of hay bales stacked, and you could like work your way through it, and seems like there were like maybe little tiny houses that were lighted, and they've done different things over the years. But there was an igloo this year. Oh, okay. And I don't remember what year. I meant to find that out. They put the fireplace in. Must have been around 2010 or something. Yeah, I don't know what year it would have been, but yeah, that is another thing that they added, which is nice. And I think the little slab of stone, whatever it is heated, so you can go sit on that and warm up if you are freezing. Right. He said he got the idea for those arches. There's a bridge in Spokane
with it had lights all the way across it, and he thought, wouldn't it be cool if the lights did something as the cars drove across?
Right.
And he took that idea and brought it back. There were a couple of towns, I don't think they were quite as elaborate, that did this. And then there was a place, it was like the Light Zoo or something like that. I'm trying to see where it was. But they helped him out a lot, kind of figuring out what kind of lights he needed, and gave him a lot of ideas on how to build it.
Yeah, I wonder what the brand of preferences and style of bulb and all that. It'd be a fun question to have answered.
Yeah.
For your own lighting purposes.
So yeah, go down, check out Locomotive Park. You know, again, Drew said it's outside, it's beautiful, you can always just drive by. Take it from Drew, wear a mask.
Yeah. Man.
What else happens this time of year? There's always the Star on the top of the hill.
There's the Star, but then there's also, of course, Candy Cane Lane.
Oh, Candy Cane Lane. That's
which has
amazing.
Been going on way longer than I would have expected. We pulled up one article that cited that this was its, 61st year? Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, this is 61 years now of Candy Cane Lane, which I had no idea that it's been going on so long. And for those of you who don't know Candy Cane Lane, it's Sunset Drive in Lewiston, over there near Sunset Park. And you start, I think the best place to start is kind of the top end. So if like you're going to Sunset Park, you go all the way to the top.
Right. Take
a left, and it's like the first or second left down, but there's a little sign that says welcome to Candy Cane Lane. And now I don't know if it's like an ordinance, but all the mailboxes,
it's definitely expected.
Well, no, I mean not just the lights, but all the mailboxes have candy canes on them.
Yeah, and that whole stretch is 7 blocks. So it's quite a ways. It's a lot of houses that participate in what is Candy Cane Lane.
Yeah, and most of them do. I mean, Caitlin and I drove after Locomotive Park. We went down Candy Cane Lane, and gosh, there was only 2 or 3 houses that we saw that didn't have lights up.
But they still have the candy cane, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they still have the candy cane. And, you know, this was started in, I think... 1959, I believe.
Wow.
And it says it was started by Dave and Wilma Howell. And they got together and did it and asked for donations. I think it was a bunch of, I mean, this was 1959. The Tribune article says a bunch of ladies got together and over coffee and decided they wanted to do it. And
right.
Set up some lights, and it's been a tradition ever since to drive through Candy Cane Lane.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, historically, when I was a kid, that was always where you went to go see really good houses that had really good lights. Now, of course, there's many, many different areas throughout the valley that have really good lights, but that was just something that you went and checked out, usually, like you said, after you went and looked at the light park. But yeah, that's just another great little tradition that we've maintained apparently 61 years now. So It's been a while. But yeah, there's also, if you're still interested in more Christmas stuff, there's also a Facebook group where you can go and look at specific houses that have added themselves to the list of homes that are lit up. So if you want to check that group out, it's called LC Valley Christmas Lights, which good title. It's all in the name.
Hey, you know what? Simple sometimes is just the way to go.
Yep.
No, Christmas lights, and again, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, just having up decorations and ornaments and lights and everything, I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think Christmas has the patent on it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's
just a fun thing to do.
It is a fun thing to do, and it gets dark at like 2 o'clock, so...
Sunsets at 4:30.
Yeah, so you might as well have some lights because...
4 o'clock.
It gives something, something for people to look at. It does make you feel more festive. It makes things nicer, I guess. I don't know. It is fun. I don't really get into Christmas myself too much, but I do like the lights. It's fun.
It is. It's great to drive around, and if you're driving around, check out LC Valley Christmas lights. People will submit their houses on there and their addresses, which I've got some Christmas lights up. I wouldn't say they're amazing, but they do look nice. I'm not going to tell you where I live, though. But I'm glad these people do. They have a little Google map with stars on it, so you can even plan out your route. Mm-hmm. Which, thank you, technology. I mean, it was fun aimlessly driving around back in the day looking for lights, but now you can kind of... I had a flashback. When I was a kid, this might be goofy, my stepmom and dad, we would make up cheesy little prizes. Mm-hmm. And they were just like a card that says, great lights and stuff like that. Not literally, but we would drive around town and look for Christmas lights, and if someone had a really cool Christmas light display, we'd throw it in their mailbox.
They got the award.
Yeah, they'd get the award. That was air quotes there. You can't see them because this is a podcast. But that was kind of a fun thing to do. Maybe a little goofy, but...
Oh, that's fun. I'm sure they definitely enjoyed finding that.
Yeah, but lighting up the darkness at this time of year. It does get dark so early.
Yeah, that's the only thing about winter I really dislike. I mean, the cold is one thing, but just getting dark so early, it's a bummer. Leaving for work in the dark and coming home in the dark, it can be a drag.
So, I don't know if this house, I'm sure it is, but if it's not on the LC Valley Christmas lights Facebook page, whether you go there or not, you have to drive by 1713 Cedar Drive. This house is super cool.
Yeah.
Not only do they have Christmas lights and decorations in the yard and everything, but he has a shortwave radio transmitter, which he's plugged into Christmas songs that sync with the lights in his house.
Right.
So it's like a little free light show.
Yeah, and if you check out the article that they write about him, his name is Ron Roberts. He explains that it takes him sometimes like up to like 10 hours to sync the lights with these different songs. So it's a lot of work, so you should go check it out just based on the amount of work that he put into it. He deserves you guys going out and checking it out.
Yeah, and make up a little award and shove it in his mailbox.
That's right.
Yeah, he's 70. He's been accruing these lights over like the last 10 years, and it's obvious that he's put a lot of work into it. It's beautiful. It's fun to watch. Please go check it out. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's see. What else do we have to cover here? Oh, we also have a lighted boat Christmas parade, which there is also a Facebook group for.
What's that one called?
Lighted boat Christmas parade.
Again, sometimes you got to keep it simple. Why complicate it?
That starts at 5 on Saturday, December 19th. Last year, Rachel and I watched part of it, and some of the boats were really good. It's actually pretty cool.
Just from the picture on their Facebook page, I mean, that's obvious. I think I've only driven past and seen parts of it. I always seem to forget about it. But I'm not going to be around this year. But if I was, it's definitely something I'd maybe drive down and watch for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really grateful that I have a good family to spend time with, maybe a little less time with this year. There's some people I won't get to see, which is a bummer. But, I'm fortunate enough to... I mean, Caitlin and I both have jobs. Our families are doing well. Whatever happens this year, we're going to have delicious food. We're going to get to open presents. We get to spend the time together. And it's not going to be super stressful, hopefully. And Christmas time can always be a little stressful. I don't think it would be Christmas time without it. But there's a lot of families right now. There's a lot of families every year, but especially this year, that are going to have a little bit of a hard time with Christmas. A lot of people are out of work. A lot of people's work have been reduced.
Right.
So Christmas can be a real hard time for more families than usual.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good reminder as always, any time of the year, but especially this time of year and this year in particular, to remember to support our local businesses if you can, not only by giving them your money, but also by wearing a mask when you go out into public, because I can tell you this, it is so much more comfortable to wear those silly, stupid masks than it is to have COVID. It is so much more helpful to those people that employ folks working in public by you wearing a mask so that you don't spread this stupid stuff around. I can tell you what, it's not fun. It's not something to be messed with. Coming from personal experience, it is a big deal. So wear your mask. Make sure that you keep everybody healthy. Make sure everybody can continue to work. Make sure you can keep our local businesses around during this time.
Well, if you're against masks and you feel like it's imposing something upon you, think of the people in the stores working them. I mean, what if they're not? Isn't it in the spirit of winter or Christmas to do, what do I want to say here? If it makes the other person feel more comfortable, isn't that kind of a nice thing to do? To put your pride or whatever it is aside for 10 minutes.
And let's say it's uncomfortable for you. Well, you're a wuss for one, but two, it's not that long that you have to wear it. And three, again, like I said, it is so much more comfortable to wear this mask than to have this disease. It is a big deal, and you could be taking somebody off from work for multiple weeks during this time of year when everybody's trying to save money and buy gifts for people and continue to pay their bills. So just wear the mask. It's not tough. It is science. It is real. And I can tell you it's very real from personal experience. It's the most sick I've ever been. So just swallow your pride if you have it, I guess, and wear the damn mask.
Yeah, and not everybody gets paid time off when they get sick.
No.
And this is, it's not a good thing for them.
No, especially if you do own a small local business and you're it. I mean, that's the employees, that's everybody that's managing everything. If you get sick, I mean, that could really screw some people over. So, just wear the mask. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, I'm fortunate enough that I'm going to be able to buy presents for my friends and family. I think one thing I'm doing this year for presents, a lot of people, friends and family that I am buying gifts for, is here's what you're getting. I'm going to do a lot of gift cards for local businesses. That's going to be my big thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a Facebook page. I meant to get it before we started, but there is resources out there to find out which local businesses are kind of having a hard time. I know Rooster's Restaurant put out something on Facebook not that long ago, and that's got to be tough because dine-in restaurants, I mean, they can't serve.
Right.
There's no dining in.
Right.
That might have ended by now.
I don't think so. I think they're still doing that.
But I know there's a lot of places struggling, so a lot of people are getting gift cards from around the valley.
Which is a great idea. And even if your favorite place isn't struggling, still give them your support. Like you said, buy a gift card. If you know that special person that you're shopping for has something in mind from one of these shops, grab that item from there instead of getting it from Amazon or whatever. You might have to spend a little bit more, but hey, it's worth it.
And if you are fortunate enough to have a little extra this year, one thing to check out would be the Toys for Tots, not Toys of Tots. I don't know, maybe that's a Mr. Potato Head. Toys
made of tots?
I was going to make a Napoleon Dynamite joke, but I'm going to skip that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Toys for Tots. Jim White, a former Marine, is the local coordinator here. There's Toys for Tots donation centers around. I think there's one at Walmart and then other local retailers in the valley. If you're in Walmart and you're buying stuff for people, I'm doing a white elephant. I don't think they're gonna listen. I'm doing a white elephant with a couple of friends, and $10. I got 2 Nerf guns. It comes with Nerf dart. $10.
Right.
you know what? Pick up another one. Drop it in the Toys for Tots
Sure.
bucket.
Good
You know,
idea. Yeah.
it's $5-10. That's all you really need to do, and it'll really brighten some family this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know the union I'm in at work. We decided to take some money out of our account and donate it to a family in need, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
There's a lot of things happening and a lot of ways you can decide to help out. Again, if you're lucky enough to be able to do that, I really encourage you to do that, especially this year, if not every year, because I don't know, it's hard enough to put toys under the tree or give toys one night every 8 nights or whatever.
Right.
It's hard enough to do that any year, but especially now with so many people out of work.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also just a good time to reach out to people that maybe you haven't talked to for a while or seen in person because we've been kind of sheltering in place or whatever you want to call it. Man, I got lonely when I was sick. It was weird being in my basement, just sitting there for 2 weeks doing nothing. It's weird. And for people that live places that have been impacted more by the virus, that maybe haven't left their homes for a month or 2 or 3 or 4 or however long, that would suck. I mean, there's only so much Netflix to go around. So
Yep.
reach out to people, say hi.
That's right. Just call them up and start singing. I believe it was Buddy the Elf who said the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. So I want to see...
Don't do that to me, though.
All right, I'm going to do that for sure. You're getting that call. Have a little bit of eggnog and they call you. What's your stance on eggnog,
It's
Drew?
disgusting.
You don't like eggnog?
I don't like it.
I knew there was something wrong with you. I always wondered how to make like alcoholic egg. This is something for later. If you have an alcoholic eggnog recipe, send it my way. I'd really like to know. I've never had alcoholic eggnog. What do you put in it? Vodka?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it curdle the...
Well, no.
No,
What about
because
White
they do
Russian?
White Russians, yeah. One of my faves.
That's my favorite.
Oh, we're going to have
Dude.
to do White Russians.
Dude abides.
Watch Big Lebowski.
Well, and what is it on The Office? Andy takes Michael to Benihana and they have Nagasaki's.
All right, so yes, if you've got a good spiked eggnog recipe, throw it on the Old Spiral Podcast Facebook page if you would. I will see it and I will drink it. Just everyone out there, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again at the new year. We are almost at our 1 year mark.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Yep. And it's always getting better, I hope.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's getting better. So if you stick with us, I mean, we got a lot more material to cover and we're excited. Like I said, more interviews. Yeah. Yeah. The last episode with Stephen Branting was a lot of fun. We'll have to have him back.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to have Steve on anytime he wants to be on the show. Wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. Doug Riddle was a lot of fun talking about some jet boats.
Yep.
Oh, man. There was a lot of good episodes this last year.
Yeah. We'll have to do like a 1 year wrap up where we'll talk about some of our favorites and whatnot.
That's right. But enjoy the holidays. Spread some cheer. Say hi to your family for me.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again, I don't know, January 1st or 2nd, I guess.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks to all our Patreon subscribers. Again, we've said it before. Because of the people that donate to this show, which we provide for free to everybody, next year our platform that we keep it on is free for us. We don't have to put any more money into the show, which is awesome, which I would gladly do anyway. Yeah. But big thanks to our Patreon subscribers who make this even easier for us. And
we're hoping we get a little extra surplus too, where we can make fun stuff like shirts or stickers and maybe even come out with a website.
That's right. Okay. We'll see you guys next year. Waking up with the dawn,
Put the stove and coffee on. The little ones begin to yawn. On Christmas morning, smell of breakfast in the air. A scream of look if Santa was here. Spreading round that winter cheer. On Christmas morning, new clothes and flashy toys are given to the girls and boys. But what really brings us joy is the love on Christmas morning. Gifts and wrapping on the floor, friends and family at the door. Who could ever ask for more on Christmas morning? New clothes and flashy toys are given to the girls and boys. But all that really brings us joy is the love on Christmas morning. What really brings us joy is the love on Christmas morning.